Hey guys, welcome back to Discover SPRINGFORD. Before we get to today's episode, I wanted to give you a quick update on my life and career. As you know, I've been an aspiring actor and I've been working my way to becoming a full-time actor. And that dream has been realized. I was recently hired by Sight and Sound Theaters in Lancaster, and I'll be working there full-time for the foreseeable future. And as a result, my hair will continue to grow and my beard will continue to look amazing. Anyway, on to today's episode. I'm standing in front of Sweet Ashley's Chocolate, located in the Limerick Square Shopping Center. Today, my guests, Rob and Connie Lawson, will be discussing their one-year anniversary in their new location, as well as recapping the 12-year history on Main Street in Royersford. The best part of today's episode is I get to taste some delicious chocolate. I'm Geoff Desiato, a professional actor, part-time realtor, and transplant to the Springford area. And I'm on a mission to find the best that Springford has to offer. I'll be interviewing local business owners, civil servants, and other prominent members of the community to find out what makes Springford a great place to live, work, eat, and explore. I invite you to join me on my journey as I discover Springford. Guys, thank you so much for letting me come in, letting me take a look at this delectable assortment of chocolate before me, which I will partake of later on. I'll let you guys talk while I eat this.
This is pretty much my hobby. So I've given up my hobby and have exposed which was very hard at first,
Right.
you know, getting feedback and critique on your hobbies are a little
Right.
scary at first.
Yes.
But I've been making chocolate since I was a kid. I grew up in Du Bois, Pennsylvania. So I'm not from the area originally. We moved here in 2004? 2004 we moved to the area. My husband's work brought him to the area. But prior to that, I grew up in Du Bois and I went on a tour, with my Girl Scout troop to a chocolate factory, very small, mom and pop in the town next door to ours. And as we were going through and doing the tour, I was convinced that I knew what those ladies were doing. That was it. I knew how to do it. I equate it sometimes to some people knowing how to play the piano and have never been taught. I was convinced I knew how to make chocolate. So I harassed the nice lady who was giving everyone a tour the entire time and harassed her some more during the tour. And then at the end, they gave everyone a bag of chocolate, finished chocolates to enjoy. And the poor woman just handed me a chunk of chocolate and said, "Go make your own." And I said, "Okay, I will."
She was having a bad
day.
day.
I probably was a very obnoxious
criticizing her
10-year-old,
chocolate.
telling her how easy it is and I can do this. And I really did. I just went home and started making my own. And I had done it for years, and definitely in my 20s while I was in college, it was the go-to Christmas present.
Right.
You're a broke college kid. I was making chocolate during those years. We get married. I was still making the chocolate. And then one year I didn't make the chocolate. So his family was not getting chocolate that year for Christmas.
No.
We had bought the house in Spring City. My job was really busy. Ashley had started first grade.
Mm-hmm.
Things were busy, and I did not make chocolate. And we paid the price by going to his family Christmas with no chocolate, and he's got our Uncle Frank.
Uncle Frank, yeah.
Who did not take very well to that. He was
Is
more...
Uncle Frank going to be watching this, you think?
I'm
probably.
sure.
His kids
Sorry,
will
you're
probably
gonna get called out. Yeah.
We actually just told Uncle Frank
that he's the
that
reason.
this past Christmas that he's the reason we opened the store
Yeah.
at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does know. We did tell him this Christmas.
He was
but
so angry that he really wouldn't talk to us, banished us to the living room pretty much.
Yeah.
And
he's a presence. He's a he's a nice guy.
That's
but
good.
you know
Yeah.
what he's feeling. You
Right.
know? So we were banished to the living room, and I looked at him during that Christmas and said, if someone's gonna get this worked up about it, maybe it should be a business.
Right.
I had a full-time job. He had his job, but why not try something else?
Yeah, no. Was
find
that
something
the
new.
first time you ever considered it, or had you kind of been thinking about it and that was like the catalyst to actually do it?
We dabbled in it while we were in state college.
Oh, okay.
So I was wholesaling to a country club there, and then there was 2 coffee shops that we were selling the chocolate to, but I was a restaurant manager at the time. So it was just a very small part of what we were doing.
Yeah, it's a little extra spending money.
Yeah. And then when we moved, when we moved from State College to this area, I got a job at a pharmaceutical company. Took that hotel restaurant management background and ended up in pharmaceuticals, and so it really just kind of fell way to the back burner. And then Uncle Frank kind of
And it was about the same time, I think, that you weren't as satisfied with your career that we decided
maybe I wasn't cut out for
We're 32 years old.
Yeah.
If we're going to do something, now is the time. Are we going to regret it if we don't do it now? Because there'll be a point in time where we're too old.
Right.
So why not just jump in?
Yeah. The naivete.
Risk everything.
With
absolutely.
Well, I did the exact same thing. So it's like when you hit 30, it's like the midlife crisis that you have.
Exactly, right?
When you're not in your 20s anymore. And I did the same thing with acting and said, if I don't try, I'm always going to wonder what if, And now is thankfully I was able to, my wife understood that, and we made some decisions to get us to that point. But I totally get what you're talking about, that emotion and that feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like, all right, might as well.
And thankfully we did it then too, because the first number of years, and not that it's not that way still, but it's all consuming.
Yeah.
So it took all of our time, and we'll say in the Christmas season, it wasn't unheard of for us to go 20 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 to 4 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
If we're 50 doing that, it's not going to work.
It's not manageable.
No. So at
not manageable
32,
but I see what you mean.
You can rebound a little faster.
That's right.
And when we started out, we started with nothing. It was an idea.
Right.
So we didn't have a script.
Yeah.
Right.
We
learned a lot.
She was in pharmaceutical. I worked in the golf industry my entire life. It's a far cry from retail.
Right.
So as we're learning, as we're going, making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. They're easier to recover from when you're
32.
Right.
And
or that's what we tell ourselves.
Yeah. That is true.
That's what makes us sleep at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still young.
So and then here we are now.
Yeah.
So
it was interesting though. Like I took a half day of work. So that was Christmas of 2004. We decided we really had decided by March March of 2005 that we were going to open this business. So we, licensed the name Sweet Ashley's Chocolate. Ashley's our daughter, so she was 6 at the time. And of course, she was thrilled at 6 that we were naming a candy store after her. So if she tells you differently, if you meet her and she tells you differently, we do have proof that she was really on board for this. It was all good.
I would be totally thrilled by that.
And
I don't know what the problem is, Ashley.
Well, she's funny.
Okay, I remember Anna Marie when I talked to her. She said like her 2 kids have a totally different response. Like, the older one, like, when people are like, "Is your mom Anna Marie?" and they're like, "Oh yeah." And like the younger one is like, "Do you know the pancake lady?" Like that's my mom. Like so it's funny like that. It is an age thing, obviously.
Yeah, she was definitely on board with it, but I think we had moved to Spring City in May of 2004.
Yep.
And the bridge closed.
Oh, really?
So that bridge was closed when we had first moved into the area. So when I was going into work, I was always going through Phoenixville to get to my work. So the bridge finally reopens. We have committed to this decision. We incorporated in July of 2005. The bridge finally opens up. I take a half day at work. I just needed like a mental health half day.
And I thought you were like just to ride on this bridge that everybody had been talking about.
I took a half
what
day
had been
at work.
foretold.
Maybe the bridge may have been open like a week.
Probably about
a week. And I'm like, I'm gonna go see what Royersford's all about because I hadn't because it wasn't there. So we come riding through, and there's this storefront there, and I was like, that storefront. It was vacant. I was like, that storefront would make a great candy store. Just kind of looking at it, and so I called my husband. And he comes down and we look at it. We call the owner and he's like, "Oh, I'll be right down." So we go inside and was that August?
Yeah.
We meet with him in August and He's like, what are you looking to do? I said, I want to put a candy store in here. He's like, oh, when my parents bought this business in 1970, whatever, it was a candy store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was Allen's Candy. So I said to him, oh, we got to do this.
Yeah,
because,
that's like a sign, right?
that's what we said. Like, oh, we are, if it supported a candy store for all those years, it's going to support another candy store.
Right.
We're gonna do this. And so we were there for 12 years.
Yeah. Now, even crazier is we learned after doing a little research, kind of very much into history, and researching the building, we knew it was an old building, is that prior to it being Allen's Candies, it was called Miller's Candies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
which was open
and that was in the 40s.
In the 40s
wow.
and 50s. So that spot
we actually had some really cool photos.
had a lot of candy history, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
To the point where even the shelving inside in the retail area was old scalloped shelving.
Yeah,
Just
anyone who was there, that shelving that we grew into, it used to hold cute little knick-knacky things, and then as we grew, started holding boxes of empty boxes. Like, it kind of became like this overflow storage that I started to realize that I was cramped.
Oh,
you know, when your cutesy little decorative area is now holding cardboard boxes filled with packaging.
Problem, to have on a storefront where, so whereas there are other storefronts there that weren't as successful, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure you probably, over that course of time, saw places open, close.
We did. We did.
Yeah.
We were fortunate, too, that the 12 years that we were on Main Street, we did see growth every single year.
Yeah, that's great.
Which inadvertently became a problem.
Right.
Because now we're tripping over each other, we're tripping over packaging, we're tripping over everything.
Yeah.
And when you work with your spouse,
it's
pretty important to not trip over each other.
Yes, I can imagine, especially when it's 24/7.
It's
venture to
demanding at the
begin
holidays.
with. You at least need to have some personal space, even if it's two foot radius around you, right?
That's the nice thing about the new location,
right,
is that it's 3 times the size of the old location.
Oh, wow.
So when she's yelling at me, I can run to the back and hide. And it does happen regularly.
Yeah.
It's the shock and awe look on my face. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's, which is an adventure in itself. You know?
But we actually, though the space is much larger, the space on Main Street in Royersford and this spot have never been our manufacturing spot.
Oh, okay.
So we started out initially making the chocolate out of our kitchen, having it certified by the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, having your kitchen certified in your home, and we started, I think our first 2 years was in our house. And then from there, we took over where Tuned Up Brewery is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had
half of the building.
Half of their building. We took over that, I think, for 5 years.
4 years.
4 years. We were there making chocolate, right
That's
where
incredible.
Tuned Up was, and then
the bridge closed again.
Oh my gosh!
We went through a second bridge closure, and
I
said
detrimental. I mean, I would imagine
bridge
that would be
closures are hard.
Well, it wasn't
They're
detrimental.
tough.
I mean, naturally we would either go through Linfield or go through Phoenixville, but what was typically a 2-minute drive from between the factory and the store now is a 15-minute to 25-minute drive, depending on traffic. And that summer in August, the hottest day of the year, our air conditioner broke.
Of course.
In the
in
store.
the store.
Oh my gosh.
So we actually took everything that was in the store, put it in coolers, and drove it to the production because we still had air production. But because the trip was so long, we ended up losing
we lost some stuff.
a couple $1,000s worth of product.
Oh my goodness.
And it was at that point we said, you know what, we have to do everything that we can to be on the same side of the bridge with our store and our production. And that's when we actually sold our house in Spring City and bought a place from a friend of ours on Lewis Road.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He had a photography studio. So a lot of the old timers will know Holcomb Photography. I think he did. We've met
yearbook
so many
photos
people
and
who
weddings
has had their wedding pictures taken
everybody
in
in the
there.
area.
Who has had their yearbook pictures taken in there. It is now we converted that into manufacturing. So that sits behind the house, and we live in the house in front, and right behind is the manufacturing. So which is nice because it's close. So if there's anything going on,
it's and it's not a huge space,
Yeah.
Right.
so we'll probably grow out of that. Our forecast is in a couple of years.
Okay.
But it was nice that we were able to turn a commercial photography studio, which had traffic,
Right.
into our production area.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's very cool. Yeah.
So, what is the typical? I mean, at this time when you had started the business, you were still. Now, are you full time here?
As of October 29th.
Of last year.
October,
Oh wow!
I retired from the golf industry.
Wow. So
And
this is both of you full
I
time.
work together 24 hours.
That's a good thing it's called Sweet Ashley.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, right?
It's not called like
Yeah,
crazy insane Larry's or something. I don't know. Like they have a lot more like tension when you walk in, but I would think that chocolate kind of seals the cracks a little bit, maybe. I'm sure there are
Or
good
sometimes
days and bad.
creates the cracks.
Yeah,
sometimes,
right.
you know.
In this case, yeah.
We're
manufacturing.
fortunate though too because our production is in a separate spot than here.
Yeah.
We do,
There are
like-
times where one of us will be making chocolate, the other will be selling chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah. People come in, where's Rob? Oh, he's making chocolate.
Yeah.
Because now he doesn't know how to make chocolate now.
Yeah.
So
So you
Yeah.
learned the ropes.
he did.
We had to.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We went the
Yeah.
first. You have to realize, up until this past holiday season, we didn't have any employees.
Really?
Yep.
It was. I say we had 1.5 people working. She's the one. I'm the half.
Oh my goodness.
For all those years, because
Wow.
I had another job.
Yeah.
Now my job was seasonal,
Yeah.
so I was able to be with her from
holidays.
November
Yeah,
1st
when it
through
really
to March
was.
1st.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Easter was the only holiday that was a challenge.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she knew the ins and outs of making chocolate, so she was hand dipping everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
175 pieces an hour.
Yeah. And you can imagine, I mean, as you can look around,
Right.
we have a little bit more of a selection here than we did on Main Street, but it's not
Because we
much.
have the space.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's really.
It's like a
have
hermit
the
crab. You
space.
grow into the
Mhm.
shell
It
that
was-
you have.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah, exactly.
And then outgrow
Yeah.
it. And you have
Yeah.
To,
And I give Connie a lot of credit because I mean the amount of work that went into it. I mean, when you say we're a small mom and pop
Yeah.
operation, we are.
Yeah, it was Mom and Poe. Wasn't even the full pop for a while there.
No, he makes chocolate now.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, but that's my new career.
That's interesting. I'm sure you never would have thought that you would, when you were on the links, that you'd be dipping chocolate.
If you asked me 20 years ago, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah, you're gonna be the guy that's synonymous with the chocolate. You know, that's great. So, is there one particular item or items that Sweet Ashley's is your hottest selling item?
Well, it's kind of a loaded question.
Okay.
Um,
Well, obviously chocolate.
so
but-
our number one selling item from the day we opened was always pretzels.
Okay.
And I,
That one there.
Chocolate
yeah,
pretzels,
feel free
which
to
is-
try a
Anytime,
pretzel.
This
Yeah.
is my go-to treat.
And
Chocolate covered pretzels.
I think a lot of that's because everybody knows what a pretzel is,
Yeah.
especially in this area.
And it is one of those things that we do recommend for people. Like, I have to get something for someone I don't know what to do. People know what a chocolate covered pretzel
Right.
is. It's very safe.
It's a
It's
staple,
not. Yeah. So.
And it's
Right.
delicious.
Now, our signature product, though, which is a close second in sales, is a product we call Smoogle Mud.
Skookle mug.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's not
Okay,
on this
wait,
plate.
that's okay.
And we don't
Yeah.
have it on the plate. It has peanut butter in it.
Yeah.
And,
And stupid me, I'm allergic.
we don't want to have.
I know I'm
Even with
missing
the
out
show,
on great
you
on,
know.
on life
Oh, no.
enjoyment.
There's
but,
some
yeah,
good
no,
stuff
but I'm
there,
sure.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
And the Smoogle Mud is toffee, peanut butter, pretzel, and potato chip.
oh wow,
So salty, sweet, crunchy. And that's a product that
Love
we
it.
actually trademarked the name
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yep. Smoogle mud.
Smoogle Mud,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can only get it here.
I know some people that don't like salty and sweet, and I look at them, and I'm just like, you're losing out on joy when you
Yeah.
tell me that. I
Well,
think
it's funny when you
personally,
say
but
that. I'm going to say
There's a lot of people probably that don't.
probably tied with the Smoogle Mud are the salted caramels,
Oh yeah.
sea salt caramels.
Which you've got.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
we,
Yeah. Anytime.
when we
Yeah.
do runs of salted caramels,
It's.
now that we have some equipment and
Yeah.
Connie's not hand dipping 175 an hour, we'll throw out, we'll be producing 2,000 an hour
Wow.
Yeah.
of salted
Now you
caramels.
say hand dipping 175 in how much?
an hour.
An hour. Yeah.
Do you have a Is it like you put them in something and then you dip them, or are you literally going like this?
No, I actually
like one at a time.
It's one at a time.
Actually, I have to say, I did it the way people would tell you not to do it.
Okay.
Which is I never got any actual training on making chocolate. So I still use, and I hand dip every day, I use a dinner fork and a nice teaspoon. That's
really?
it. Yes. And a big bowl of chocolate.
Wait, so you've never gone to any like chocolatier or whatever they're called?
No.
So this is all self-taught.
No, this is all self-taught. The
That is
drizzles
incredible.
are like
Everything
the drizzle.
you see here is all self-taught.
That's incredible.
It's a very expensive way to go about it because
Right.
you are learning as you go. But this, like dipping with a fork when you're 10 years old, there is no fancy equipment.
Right.
You are just, melting chocolate and trying to temper it. And you used what was in your drawer, which was dinner forks. And literally, like when I hand dip, I still hand dip with the dinner forks. And when we make the clusters, it's still done with iced teaspoons, and it's still the way that it is.
It's literally made with love, though. It's not made in a factory, scientifically with like.
His version is.
I'm sure
Well,
we
that's
learned,
how
but
we
I
got
mean-
him
No,
on board.
we still
'cause
have
we
to hand
did-
decorate.
Yeah.
Like any of the drizzle that you see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this. This is
Oh, yeah.
salted
That's
caramel.
salted
Yep.
caramel. Yep.
Yeah.
The
I lost 20 pounds before this season started, but I'm putting it back now.
Yeah. But we did invest in an enrobing machine 2 years ago.
Yes.
Which is really, that's his baby right there. That's
we hit a point
what
where,
he does.
from a production standpoint,
I couldn't do
and
that.
every year growing, that there's physically there's no way to keep up.
Right.
So we needed to come up with a way to actually
And there's
continue to grow.
videos like on our Facebook page. Like he loves to do Facebook Live videos.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Of like the enrobing machine going and the loading up the belt and the chocolate
If you
going
think of,
underneath
like,
the
I Love Lucy,
waterfall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Where they're
it is
pulling
like
the-
that. Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Once again, though, it is still hands-on because a human needs to load the machine,
Right.
and then a human has to decorate the pieces,
Yeah. Those are all still.
and a human
yeah.
has to unload the machine. So we're not fully automated by any stretch.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I would think that that's part of the draw.
Yeah.
Is that it is the mom and pop,
Right.
Yes.
out of their house, I mean, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's
yeah.
a
Out
separate
of the back
building.
of our
but
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So tell me a little bit about what is on this plate here as I continue to eat it.
You just had
much to my
the
shame.
caramel, sea salt caramel.
Yeah, delicious.
So this one here is a caramel with graham cracker. So it's kind of like a crazy Twix or a,
Okay.
and then that is a caramel marshmallow. We have a thing for peanut butter and caramel. A lot of peanut butter options.
I love
a lot of caramel
and
options.
hot fudge are my go-to Sunday toppings.
Yeah.
Like usually they say, do you want caramel or hot fudge? And I say, can I have both?
Yes.
Because just the mixture together is just insane.
I'm that way with peanut butter and chocolate.
Yes, we go through thousands of pounds of caramel.
That's a new piece this year. We try to come up with some new stuff.
Yeah, we just introduced that 3 months ago.
Months ago.
About 3 months ago.
So.
I hope my wife never watches this episode because she's going to be super jealous. Because I'm not bringing any of this home.
Right.
Well, that might be a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to have the fights that you two have.
Yeah, so we do a lot with but everything for the most part we do in milk and dark chocolate. There are a couple items that are specifically milk chocolate, and any new items that we come out with typically come out in milk first, and then people will guide us if they are interested in having that in dark.
Do you find that people's palates lean more towards one or the other?
When
there
we
was a time.
first opened, when we first opened, it was definitely all milk chocolate. I actually only made milk chocolate, so when we first opened, I think there was maybe like peppermint patties and a couple dark chocolate truffles. But for the most part, everything else was in milk chocolate, and people were like, "Where's the dark?" And I'm like, "Darn, I'm gonna have to make dark chocolate. I don't eat dark chocolate.
Oh, wow.
What am I gonna do?" And like, it was like a real problem, like, because I didn't really want to make something that I didn't.
That you couldn't like say this is my favorite or whatever.
Or eat. And we finally came up with a dark chocolate that's not bitter. I don't know, like there's not a bite on the end. It's not
smooth
bitter.
piece,
Yeah.
And so, I was like, I always like to call it a milk chocolate person's dark chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah, I can turn anyone into a dark chocolate eater.
Yeah, I know. I
And-
tend, when there's a dark chocolate option, oftentimes I'll go for it. Not because I like it better, but I just find it more interesting on the palate, personally.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a contrarian. And oftentimes people will, in my experience, will go more towards the milk. So all that's left is dark, and then I'm like, all right, more for me. So that's really, I find just human behavior fascinating. And like you just find, I didn't find it fascinating when I worked in retail. I found human behavior repulsive, which is why I no longer work in retail. But when I do this kind of thing, I like to know. I'm a data guy, so I like to know like what is what are the things and how you make your decisions, because it's obviously not all just like on a whim. Like I'm going to do this. Like there is a science behind it in terms of. Do I think someone's actually going to want this? Do I think someone's going to like it? Is it going to taste good?
We ask a lot of times.
We do ask. And I got to be honest, though, chocolate's kind of cool in the respects that you can do some things on a whim.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be in production, and we'll be like, you'll see two ingredients on opposite sides of the room and say, I wonder if that'd be good together.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like I tried.
Well, that's how Smoogle Mud came about.
Yeah.
Like, that was...
Oh yeah,
I was trying to fix
the best mistake we ever made.
It was a mistake. We used to make the the pretzels and had the toffee on them, which is great, except for in the summer when it's humid, that exposed toffee on top gets soft. It gets soft, and that's just not. Toffee should be crunchy.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I'll double dip them, and then the toffee will stay nice and secure inside, and everything will be great. They came out huge. They were like these massive things.
And what? Obviously, I don't have it on the plate, but what is it? What is the consistency of the Smoogle Mud?
The Smoogle Mud, they're like
is
little.
It like
it's a patty.
Yeah,
they're
like a little
like a
cluster.
Oh,
they look like if you were to.
But it's not like.
It's chunky.
Yeah, it's a hard. It's like a hardened.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not like a.
It's not
you have
gooey.
to, like,
No, it's not
gooey.
gooey. It's kind of like a nut cluster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it just. So I thought I had this great idea. I'm so smart. I'm going to, why doesn't anyone else do this? Like, why am I like, I'm like, I'm so smart. Yes. Until I realized that now I have 10 pounds of chocolate and all these toffee flakes in it.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to start throwing stuff into this chocolate, or I am throwing away 10 pounds of chocolate.
Oh my gosh.
Because I wasn't the smartest chocolatier ever discovered. I made a big fat mess. So I just started pulling stuff that I was working on, and I just started throwing it into the bowl until that started to look like something interesting. And it kind of tasted okay, and there it was. It remained nameless for a couple weeks, but
How did you come up with the name Smoogle Mud? I mean, obviously the location, but...
No, actually, the huge rainstorm came into the area, and the Smoogle River, we're like everyone else, let's go see how high the river is today. Like, you just want to go and...
It's really awesome when it doesn't crest. You're like, wow, look how high it is, and then it gets too high.
Or let's go see how fast the river's going, and... It was coming down fast, and there was like piles of debris that were collecting by the trestle.
Oh, okay.
And the way that this debris that was collected there looked exactly like my ingredients in the chocolate bowl. And we had a friend.
It was really appetizing mud, though. Don't let her fool you.
And then we had another friend who had always said, you need to come up with something called Smoogle sludge, kind of. And so we just kind of incorporated what he's been nagging me about and what this looked like, and said, okay, Smoogle Mud.
Smoogle Mud, I will say, even though it's mud, it sounds more appetizing than sludge would. So
No
offense to whoever this was, but I'm glad you didn't say sludge, because that doesn't sound like I want to put that in my mouth.
And over the years,
but you have to give our buddy, he was pretty instrumental in coming up with something.
And we have had people over the years be like, oh, mud? Smoogle Mud? I don't want to eat mud.
Yeah.
Well,
until they try.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think back when you were a kid and you made dirt and it was like crushed up Oreos and
the
put
gummy
worms and
worms.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, come on, we put stuff like that in our mouth all the time. Why not make it really high quality?
We actually get some weird reaction lots of times to the Swedish fish, chocolate-covered Swedish fish.
I did find that interesting.
It is.
I'm gonna try it.
I would say it's either you really like it, or we ruined your fish. It's one or the other.
Yeah, a lot of people will tell us they like fish and they like chocolate, but they couldn't even think of eating chocolate dipped fish.
Right.
But what we did discover is that
I'm not just saying that because I'm on the show.
No, we.
I paid him.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't get like a bag full and just like.
But see, that's what's so funny. A lot of times,
it comes back around on you. I like it.
Yeah.
When people come into the case, a lot of times they're like 2 of these, 3 of those, 6 of that. People who love Swedish fish get boxes of Swedish fish.
They'll buy just a half pound of Swedish fish.
It's such a popular single item that at Valentine's Day it has its own heart.
Really?
Like it's a heart
box,
just
chocolate
filled
covered Swedish fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do a heart-shaped box with just those.
Just fish in it. That's
I
like
love
because
Swedish
people
fish like
are
a lot, and actually I was skeptical, but I can't explain what the taste is like. It's not what I would have expected of a chocolate covered Swedish fish. It's milder than you would expect it to be, which actually makes it more enjoyable, I think.
Well, if you think about it, Swedish fish are a strawberry flavor.
Yeah.
People eat chocolate dipped strawberries.
Yeah, right.
All the time.
Yeah. So I think if people are thrown off by like the chewiness, they're like, how does a hardened chocolate on
I know.
chewy? But then again, you have like the marshmallow you said, right?
Yes.
That's a caramel wrapped marshmallow. So it's a marshmallow cut in half, and then
My heart rate is slowing.
Yeah, and then
love
we wrap the caramel literally around the marshmallow, and then send it through the enrober.
So you wrap the caramel like unmelted, or is it like a?
No, it's not melted.
It's soft.
It's soft.
soft.
Yeah,
We
roll it
we
with
roll it out.
rolling pins. Yeah,
And get it to a thin
Yeah.
like sheet, we'll say,
Yeah.
and then we take it and wrap it around
the marshmallow.
the marshmallow.
Yeah. Because because caramel's a hot temperature,
That's the best one
so
I've had
if
so
you
far.
You like
were
that
to,
best?
It's just like perfect for my palate. I like marshmallow.
Well, there's a
caramel.
chocolate for everyone. That's what's kind of nice. Somebody might not like this, but they'll love that, and the other way around. So there's a chocolate for everyone. There's also, I always tell people there's, all kinds of brands available to people too. It doesn't have to be my chocolate. We just like that people enjoy chocolate,
Right. Sorry if I'm gonna have chocolate in my teeth. I apologize if anybody's looking at this. Nobody's watching this for me anyway. Yeah, this has been really, really cool. Not just because I'm eating tons of chocolate, which I am doing, and enjoying every minute of it, but just the conversation. So, is there anything else that you guys, that we did not cover, that you'd like to use at our final segment? I mean, we don't really have defined segments, but...
Right. As we were growing and struggling sometimes, and everybody always would tell us that it takes 3 years, once you hit a 3-year point, you're over the hump. And sometimes they would say 5 years. We learned that it was probably closer to 7 to 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
wonder how many businesses stopped
right on the edge.
too early. Yeah, because
they gave up
I think about that all the time.
because
the
that number.
books tell you, like the books tell you, or the information that's out there tells you, you have to ditch it after 3 to 5 years if it's not like where you want it to be, or it's not doing everything that you want it to do. There's so many variables involved. Like we went through a bridge closure. So that
there's no book on that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
unless somebody wrote a book about bridge closures, but that's not related to business.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there's just stuff that comes up, or having to put out the money to fit a location. Like there's money involved to convert what was a bar on Main Street in Spring City into chocolate manufacturing. There's a process involved in that, and so there's funds that go to that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm putting out money and I'm not, I just wonder how many times, like, because they give a number sometimes, that people maybe
they call it quits too early.
Yeah.
So when we hit our 10-year, that was
I can imagine you probably were like you couldn't imagine 10 years from now when you started, like what would be the case. That you would have outgrown your location, that you're in a space 3 times the size, continuing to grow. Just as a personal side of the story, like the 3-year thing has been such a huge thing for me because you hear that so much.
You hear it all the time.
I was in real estate and I'm self-employed and I'm watching all these people do real estate a certain way, which was working for them. And I didn't want to do it that way. And I was like, well, if I go out on my own and then everybody's like, well, by the 3rd year, you'll be great. Like the first year is really bad. Second year starts to grow. And then 3rd year, you really start to hit your momentum. The 3rd year, like I went down, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not supposed to. And I started to like doubt everything, and I stopped, I started to freak out about what am I doing to my family, all this stuff. And I went through all of those thoughts and emotions, and I gave myself an ultimatum of like, by the end of year 5, if this isn't working, I got to get back into the corporate scene or whatever. And this was just recently, and then
that
lo and
changed.
behold, that all changed. If you follow me personally on Facebook, you know why. But I'm working as an actor, essentially full time.
But had you stopped at year 3,
right? And I was like,
it wouldn't have been,
because real estate wasn't working the way I thought it would. Acting was kind of a grind,
right?
And but I was fixating on those years, like year 3 at first, and then I was giving myself till the end of the 5th year, and then
you're
saying
kind of given these weird timelines. People do talk to you in these weird milestones and in these weird times, but there's no way to account for other things.
I almost
that
wonder
go
if
on.
they create those to justify the decision they were already making in
Oh,
their
that's
heart.
an interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
like they had already were like,
yeah.
I'm done after. Like I can't do this anymore, which is fine. It may have been the right decision for them, but not for everybody.
But not for everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm glad you stuck with it.
Yeah. Me too. So we'll see where it goes from here. But I didn't mean to turn it back to me, but I just love when there's like those. For as much as there's things that people say that you want to attribute to yourself, and it may not fit the mold, when somebody says something that does align with like where you are, it's like really exciting, and to share that I find really important, because there may be somebody watching this that is in year 3 or year 5 ready to give it up, and then they hear from you like
it was
7
really,
to 9.
7 was a huge changing point for us. Yeah.
Would you say, and just kind of this is just coming to my head, like, were you still enjoying the process years 7, 8, and 9? Like, not obviously not the negative aspects of it and the grind, but like it was still something that you wanted to see succeed.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I really like making chocolate.
Yeah.
I mean, the other stuff's, the
others back office stuff that's not fun.
Right.
The accounting work of it.
Well, yeah, like your own HR, your own
the marketing of it.
Stuff.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that's kind of a drag.
Yeah.
But you know what? When somebody comes in and they get so excited about what we have to offer, well, that changes things.
Fans the flame up again.
Oh, absolutely. When people walk in the
does.
door and they say, "Oh my gosh, it smells so good," we can't smell it anymore,
right?
Yeah,
because we're nose blind to it. So we have to take their word for it. But you can just tell their attitude and everything kind of peps up.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's
that's
a telltale sign. I think that it is still a passion, even if the flame is dwindled down to like an ember.
Yeah.
If all it takes is something like that to fan it back up, then that's a sign, I would say. Personally, I'm not putting it on anybody, but that's a sign that maybe push it out. Try to push it out a little bit.
Yeah.
If you still get that, if you can still get up to that height, that high, when it's going well, then maybe that means you need to hang on to that high when you get to the low.
Yeah.
And then, I'm starting to talk like I'm 5 years old, but you guys know what I mean.
The low is lack of sleep, I think, sometimes.
We'll say like the holiday
Christmas
season,
is
sure. It's a
grind,
busy time.
but-
It's great because it's successful.
Right.
And as is the case with most retail, you're bringing all your money in. And
we're no different
and
than
you're
any other.
You're hanging on like at certain drive times and stuff.
Yeah. It
But,
really is like we are retail.
So that's fun in that respect.
Yeah.
You feel a little more secure.
Yeah.
At the same time, like Connie said, we're battling sleep.
Right.
And that's kind of the low.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're seeing like truffles and you're.
Speaking of chocolate truffles,
is that what that is?
that's a salted hot chipotle.
Oh, that's right. This is the one I was like.
That's
I'm
the-
so glad I saved this one to the
Yes.
last, because I was like.
It actually would have ruined all the other ones.
Oh,
'cause
really?
It does linger.
Oh,
like
that's
the
fine.
heat will linger a little bit.
I said to them before we started that all I have to do is see the word Chipotle on any menu item, and that's what I order, because it's just something about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't know what to get, like
Right.
you go to the thing that you know you like at Chipotle, whatever,
Yeah.
whether it's the restaurant, which does not sponsor this show, or if they want to, they're welcome to.
Right.
Here we go.
Yeah, that's a big bite.
I'm going for it.
You gotta go all in.
It's a spicier one. Like
Yeah.
the other spicy ones that we do, the heat will come after. But that one, the spice is right there
It's
on
right
top.
there from the beginning.
So,
Yeah.
what is it about? Because I've seen this and I never thought of it before. Oh, here it comes.
Yep.
the spiciness in chocolate, which I never would have, growing up, that was like never a thing. Is that something that's happened more recently?
We did it because of a customer request.
Really?
Yeah. They had asked, they had said...
Wow, it really brings out the chocolate.
They had talked about the mole sauce, the mole sauce?
Yes.
Yes. Did you ever think about doing this in a bar? My cousin would love it, I was like, well, I can play with it and find out. So I made a batch. This is how we first started doing anything spicy. I made a small batch. He came in and said, it needs a little something else. And I was like, all right. So we made a little bit more, added some cinnamon to it, you know. So it was like, it's cinnamon and cayenne pepper. And, Geoff, if you're watching, thank you.
Not this Geoff, this other Geoff.
Yeah, so...
Geoff with a J, probably.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah. Like a normal person.
But he really did, through his feedback and him wanting to be able to give, was it his cousin? I can't remember. Or maybe it was dad. He wanted to give somebody like the spicy chocolate bar. Yeah. So, and then that kind of, took off from there. And then we just really started having it more often.
Right.
And then
that's
the
what we called south of the border.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
it's really good.
And
I never would have expected it.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it does linger.
Right.
Yeah.
But the fact that the chocolate just like boosts, like in a weird way, like it just hits you in the face as much as the spice does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's a piece too, like, you'd mentioned earlier or asked earlier about if dark is only good with certain things in milk.
I would say that probably wouldn't
anything
clear
with
in.
spice is generally dark because the complexities of the taste of dark go well with spice.
I really like it.
Where
actually, I'm just like, the fact that it lingers is actually, I'm excited because I'll go home and I'll be like, that was really good. I could go for some more of that. My stomach might not want it too much, but I like it.
Right.
So, I really appreciate this time. Not just because I got to eat chocolate for free. And if you'll notice, like, I have been to places that I went to Anna Marie's. I didn't ask for a free pancake.
He didn't ask
they
for
offered.
Yes,
so
they offered.
I never presume.
I think the chocolate tells a much better story than Rob and I. So we just let people eat chocolate.
It's telling a story in my mouth right now, so that's great.
We just let people eat chocolate.
That's great. Let them eat chocolate.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I think is what Marie Antoinette said.
Let them eat cake. Chocolate cake, as a matter of fact.
So as we wrap up, guys, thank you so much. Why don't you tell people how they can get in touch with you, find you online, what your links are, and all that
You
kind
can
of
find
stuff.
us online. It's www.sweetashleys.com. It's about as easy as it gets.
Okay.
You can shop on our website.
Yeah, we do have a shopping cart on our website.
Awesome.
Or you can always call us 610-948-1085.
Great.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
Because he makes all those posts.
Okay, very good. Now, is there anything? Do they find stuff on the Facebook page and things like that, like to share or to?
They do, and lots of times we'll
Rob
run
likes
specials or something like that.
the
Well,
Facebook
Facebook
Live
Live is-
videos.
Yeah.
That's
Rob
always fun.
Loves
That's
videos.
if you want to get behind the scenes on the process.
Yeah, like
definitely
we'll
follow
be in the
Facebook.
factory
Yeah, that's
sometimes
cool.
where production, I guess,
Yeah.
is more fitting. Facebook Living it. Anytime we introduce a new product, we throw it out on Instagram and Facebook.
They find out first.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's the best way to get the word out.
Yeah, so if you want to get here before it's gone, then make sure
Yeah.
you follow them on social because that's the most instantaneous way to find out. You can beat the rush before all the Chipotle chocolate is gone.
Yeah.
The south of the border is gone. Is that what it's called, south of the
No,
border?
that's the
the
Chipotle sauce.
The south of the border is
It's
a
actually
candy bar.
a chocolate bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the cayenne almond is just individually done almonds with cayenne pepper and dark chocolate. So
Great.
we try to cover all the palettes.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. So I'm so glad we got to do this. Thank you. I know it was a long time coming, but thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
It was fun. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode of Discover Springford. If you'd like to hear our full, unedited conversation, then I encourage you to subscribe to our podcast. You can find it on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast app by searching Discover Springford. I also want to thank Rob and Connie Lawson for their time and for their delicious chocolate. If you'd like to sample some for yourself, then I encourage you to stop by the Limerick Square Shopping Center location or check out their website, sweetashleys.com. If you'd like to support the show, Discover Springford, going forward, you can do that in a number of ways. The easiest would be to share this video with your friends and family. You can also support the show financially by going to our website, discoverspringford.com. You can make a one-time contribution via PayPal. You can become a monthly supporter on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or you can purchase some of our merchandise in our store. We have several t-shirts available, as well as a Discover Springford car magnet. Thanks a lot for watching this episode of Discover Springford. Until next time, get out there on your own journey to discover what makes the Springford area a great place to live, work, eat, and explore.